See you next time on The Chase Australia.
State government rocked by a very sudden backflip from Andrew Constance. Tonight, the Transport Minister pulls the plug on his run for Canberra the morning after announcing he was quitting New South Wales. He says he's had a gutful, what happened and why. Action against Newmarch, 16 deaths in a matter of weeks. Now its operating licence hangs in the balance. Returning to normal life, getting back to what we knew within days. Also tonight, inside the COVID war room as decisions are made on reduced restrictions. Toll-free for 3 months, who's eligible and how to apply. A terrifying ordeal, a wife allegedly poisoned by her husband with the same sedative that killed Michael Jackson. And the Prime Minister's straight-talking ultimatum to NRL stars, no jab, no play.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. It's one of the most extraordinary backflips in recent political history. State Transport Minister Andrew Constance quitting the federal race for Eden Monaro a day after announcing he would run. He's apologised for causing confusion, saying a vicious attack from the Deputy Premier was partly to blame.
Hello again.
If a week is a long time in politics, try less than 24 hours.
I want to apologise for the confusion and anyone who's been upset.
Understandably, this was Andrew Constance yesterday.
I am going to be seeking pre-selection for the Liberal Party.
Today, he's not.
I've had a lot of people send me messages this morning saying, thank God you're staying.
The decision catching his colleagues by surprise.
I'm hearing from you now.
But the Premier was told before her daily coronavirus briefing, perhaps explaining this response.
I'm sorry, can I just stress the member for Bega, Andrew Constance, hasn't yet been endorsed as the candidate.
Mr Constance admitting this foul-mouthed attack from the Deputy Premier was a key reason.
Absolutely, it's disappointing. It's humiliating. Stuff that. I've had a gutful of it. I hadn't signed up to, contest federally to be called that type of smear.
7 News understands Mr Constance was warned last night that destabilising would continue during a by-election campaign. John Barilaro effectively exacting revenge for not being given a clean run as the coalition candidate for Eden Monaro.
That type of white-handing doesn't just stop with that front page, it goes on and on.
Well, very clearly, these two men should be sacked today.
Mr Barilaro refused to comment on the attack today, but maintained he will not run for the Nationals in Eden Monaro.
We won't let any of this rubbish get between being mates.
Liberal Senator Jim Molan also ruling himself out.
This is the most dysfunctional approach we've seen from the coalition when it comes to a seat in living memory.
The Liberals' 2019 candidate Fiona Kotvos is tipped to win pre-selection. Christy McBain now expected to hold the seat for the ALP.
Labor will be rubbing their little hands together.
As Mr Constance vows to contest the 2023 state election, unconcerned about a candidacy that lasted marginally longer than Mal Meninga's.
I'm buggered.
The League Greats bid for ACT politics, ending in the same interview it was announced.
Now, there's a good person to be compared to. Let me tell you, he's a champion.
Let's go to Alex Hart now. Alex, you have exclusive details on trouble brewing for the Deputy Premier.
Yes, Mark, a group of senior Nationals figures calling themselves party elders wants him removed from the state leadership, and they are preparing right now to lobby Nats officials to have him taken out of that top job. They've described his recent behaviour to me as, quote, despicable, unprofessional and unbecoming, saying the self-centred immaturity of the leader is bringing the party into disrepute, end quote. They've gone on to call him a lame duck leader, saying they want him to stand down himself. If not, they're going to call on Nationals still in the parliament to consider voting him out. Mark?
An extraordinary day. Alex, thank you. To breaking news now, and the aged care regulator has stepped in, taking urgent action against Anglicare over its handling of the Newmarch house outbreak. Let's go straight to Chris Reason. Chris, the operator's been ordered to meet a series of demands by close of business tomorrow.
Mark, good evening to you. Anglicare's operating licence is tonight hanging in the balance after the Aged Care Commission took heavy action over Newmarch House and the loss of 16 lives of its residents in recent weeks. It issued a statement late this afternoon. It said the Commission has identified that there is an immediate and severe risk to the health, safety and well-being of care recipients at the service, adding that the deaths have had an impact on all Australians. Now, Newmarch has been banned from accepting any more new residents, and it also has to find a new and pay for a new independent advisor by this time tomorrow night. Families will welcome this news. Newmarch issued a statement saying they acknowledge the heavy action against it, and that as authorities also move to calm fears of a new connection between Newmarch and the Ruby Princess.
They are the nation's two most lethal coronavirus hotspots, the Ruby Princess and Newmarch Aged Care. Families there stunned today to learn health workers have moved between the two.
I'm shocked that even hearing that, I had no idea.
The two surge support staff are employed by federal government contractors Aspen Medical, moving from Ruby to Newmarch to do one shift each 10 days ago. Aspen insisting they were COVID negative. Both were experienced clinicians with significant experience in infection control and were in full PPE at all times.
We have no indication that they were in any way the source of infection.
Annette Keeley, who visited her 87-year-old mum Jean today, torn on whether to get her out.
I don't know the answer. It's torture, it's torment.
Health authorities have also revealed that their inquiries into whether there was a second source of original infection have now come to an end. The Chief Health Officer saying that line of inquiry is no longer being investigated.
And at the moment, the earliest introduction into the facility is the original aged care worker.
Almost 7,000 new tests have found another 9 cases, including a South Coast nurse. Beyond Newmarch at Caddens, there are still small clusters around Emu Plains, Bosley Park, Concord and Hornsby, while Bondi and Wallara, the first big hotspots, tonight have no active cases at all.
There are some suburbs of Sydney that have had no cases for weeks.
The Premier confirming a jump in return to work numbers, flagging possible restrictions on public transport as it starts to fill again.
How many people should be on a bus safely or a train safely? Where do people know where to sit?
Chris Reason, 7 News.
As a special inquiry examines the Ruby Princess, tonight we have bombshell developments in that disaster that's claimed 21 lives. 7 News has obtained letters sent to Prime Minister Scott Morrison warning him of lax biosecurity controls at our ports just days before the cruise ship docked.
With the Ruby Princess 2 days off Sydney, on March 17 the Maritime Union wrote to the PM urging stricter biosecurity controls across Australia's seaports, including pre-entry inspection of vessels. It was a second warning after one on January 31 advised the current system is grossly inadequate. The onus is on foreign vessel masters, ship owners and agents to self-declare that they do not pose a risk.
The Prime Minister's office and the government was completely wrong-footed.
The Prime Minister's office did not respond to our inquiries. Today, a Port Authority rep revealed Carnival Australia's assurances.
It was basically business as usual, that it wasn't a COVID ship, that the ambulances weren't related to COVID.
One ambulance was for Leslie Bacon, the ship's doctor insisting urgent transport to hospital was not for COVID-19 symptoms she was showing.
She made it very specifically clear that the reasons the ambulance were being called was for the cardiology consult and for the nerve issue.
And yet the virus would kill her within 48 hours. Carnival's apparently inadequate disclosure of sickness on board is the focus of a criminal strike force which raided the company's office yesterday.
When the Ruby Princess docked on March 19, it was not just unions questioning the wisdom of allowing her to do so. Today at the public inquiry there were witnesses who were surprised too.
That includes Carnival's own ports agent, Bibi Tokovic.
My opinion was that New South Wales Public Health was going to board the vessel.
Carnival insists it complied with all its reporting obligations, as the PM suggested the grilling of a health bureaucrat yesterday.
We did what we could.
Was too harsh.
But I found that a bit out of line.
Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Australians craving company are being assured relief is in sight. 7 News can reveal the ban on group gatherings could be eased as early as this week. National Cabinet is set to trial a lifting of restrictions on get-togethers, but not without conditions.
bringing back a great Aussie tradition, the return of the backyard barbie.
It'll be wonderful.
Catch up with your neighbours and talk to them, and now it'll be good.
7 News has learned Friday's National Cabinet meeting plans to ease social restrictions to allow gatherings of up to 10 people in the family home, putting barbecues, birthday lunches and dinner parties back on the agenda.
That's a reward for the hard work of Australians.
The timing of the easing will be left to the individual states, but it's believed Prime Minister Scott Morrison wants it done as soon as possible, perhaps by Sunday, in time for larger family get-togethers on Mother's Day.
That would be good timing. That'd get me out of a bit of a bind as well.
It'll be part of the first of several stages of potential easing. National Cabinet will assess the health data from each stage after 14 days, the coronavirus incubation period, before deciding whether to move to the next stage. There'll also be a subtle but important change in messaging from Friday, moving from the direction to stay home to a new one, stay safe. Scott Morrison taking a call from the Queen last night, the 94-year-old monarch sending Australians her wishes, battling the coronavirus and recovering from bushfires and drought.
She loves this country. She's been here many times.
She also loves horse racing. The Queen, pleased the sport of kings was still on track here. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Many businesses have been crippled by this pandemic, but some parts of the retail sector have been booming. The panic buying has seen the industry's biggest ever monthly jump in sales as more stores now focus on reopening their doors.
After weeks of lockdown, Australians are ready to hit the shops.
If you feel safe to come out, why not?
I'm not that fearful.
A relief for retailers, despite new data disguising their pain. Retail sales soared by a record 8.5% in March, driven by food and pharmaceuticals up by nearly a quarter each, and household goods up 9%. But many struggled. Clothing and footwear, cafes, restaurants and takeaway all down 23%, and department stores down 9%.
The April numbers I expect are going to be probably worse than that again.
While David Jones has stayed open, Myer announced it'll reopen 5 Queensland stores on Friday and 2 in New South Wales on Saturday. It joins Kathmandu, Adairs and Apple in welcoming customers back this week, tentatively, with new measures such as sanitizer on arrival and fewer people inside.
Can't try clothes on so much, so our changing rooms are shut.
Kathmandu is among the many retailers now leaning more heavily on e-commerce. After its online sales tripled in April, the outdoor adventure retailer has now engaged Uber to help with customer deliveries.
Traditional transport networks have been pretty overloaded, and so we're just trying to find ways that we can get product to customers as quickly as we can.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
A nurse is behind bars tonight accused of poisoning his wife with the same powerful sedative that claimed the life of pop star Michael Jackson. Today, she spoke of her ordeal, having lain unconscious for 8 hours before coming to and calling 000.
Joytika Lata still feeling groggy from the effects of the drug allegedly given to her by her husband.
Yeah, it could have taken my life.
Her husband, 45-year-old nurse Yogendra Singh, allegedly stole 15 vials of the powerful sedative Propofol from the intensive care ward at Liverpool Hospital. Ms Lata, who is also a nurse, says her husband gave her what he claimed was a saline drip.
Because I was dehydrated, I wanted to go to the hospital. He said because of the COVID thing, it's not safe.
Unconscious for nearly 8 hours, she awoke, realised something was wrong and called 000.
I told them exactly what happened, and this what happened, and that's what that I was drugged by my husband.
She was treated at Blacktown Hospital and released this morning. All of the neighbours we spoke to say this is a quiet street, as is the home where this alleged poisoning occurred. But they say there were warning signs. Recently, Miss Lata appeared with a black eye. Neighbours claiming she told them she'd been pushed.
Her eyes is green, swelled around.
I have had tremendous support from my neighbours. They have opened the doors for me for help, for any kind of help.
This morning, Mr Singh was refused bail on charges of poisoning, domestic violence, larceny and possessing a Schedule 4 drug. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
It's supposed to be a health crisis, but Sydney emergency departments and suburban waiting rooms are eerily empty as patients obey the rules and stay at home. But that's not good. Doctors saying too many people are skipping regular checkups and ignoring potentially serious symptoms.
Normally bulging. Emergency waiting rooms at major Sydney hospitals, empty. Outside, at night, no ambulances, empty parking bays. The COVID effect.
It's something that emerged overseas. Attendances even at our emergency departments has been down.
Patients fearing infections at health facilities, avoiding crowds. It has general practitioners worried, launching an ad campaign.
It's just a little lump. I'm sure I don't need to get it checked.
It's not surprising given that patients, we're telling people to stay home, especially if you're a vulnerable person.
GPs report consultations are down by 40 to 50%. There's also a 40% drop in routine pathology tests, which means over 60,000 Australians are not having important tests done. Not COVID, but sometimes just as risky.
And we know with people with chronic conditions like asthma, heart disease, diabetes, they need regular checkups with a health professional.
And there's no need to avoid waiting rooms.
Your risk of getting the COVID-19 virus is low. You're more likely to suffer from your current and potentially future medical problems.
And fighting COVID has made us healthier. Keeping our distance, washing our hands, has reduced other illnesses like the standard seasonal flu. It may be business as usual at emergency units as COVID restrictions are eased. Chris Marr, 7 News.
While there's still no vaccine, there's new hope for a treatment to ease the symptoms of the virus and save lives. Australian researchers will soon test whether plasma from people who've already recovered from COVID-19 can help patients still suffering.
Australian researchers look to block coronavirus as it nears its deadliest phase, the patient heading to intensive care.
So they have shortness of breath or they have what is known as air hunger.
And what might stop this dangerous decline? A defence in the blood of others who've recovered.
It can help prevent the progression of severe respiratory distress.
Melbourne-based biotech giant CSL plans to purify COVID-19 antibodies from the blood plasma of donors who beat the virus, then trial it as a treatment on Australians as they face their life and death fight.
It's not a guarantee, but it's promising.
To give 50 to 100 seriously ill COVID-19 patients the antibodies, the researchers need plasma from 800 people. That's 13% of all Australia's recovered COVID cases.
Overseas, we've seen a willingness for recovered donors to participate in this trial.
Red Cross Lifeblood is now asking former COVID sufferers to donate. There are similar trials in China, Canada, the UK and US. The hope? By later this year, antibodies from those who survived COVID-19 will be harnessed to help those yet to face it. Tim Lester, 7 News.
Despite his nation's horrific and ever-increasing death toll, Donald Trump is winding down America's coronavirus task force, confirming it could be disbanded within weeks. The US president is focused on reopening, today touring a mask factory while choosing not to wear one.
Flying over millions of Americans still in lockdown, Donald Trump's first big trip in more than a month was to Arizona, where to a surreal soundtrack. He visited workers in masks, making masks, without wearing one himself. Officials insisted it wasn't required, as the president argued reopening the economy is.
The people of our country are warriors, and I'm looking at it. I'm not saying anything is perfect. And yes, will some people be affected? Yes. Will some people be affected badly? Yes.
Back in Washington, a former vaccine director alleges he was pushed out after resisting efforts to fund a drug repeatedly promoted by President Trump.
Time after time, I was pressured to ignore or dismiss expert and scientific recommendations. I was pressured to let politics and cronyism drive decisions.
Claiming his urgent warnings about the virus from early January were treated with indifference. The nation's coronavirus task force could now be wound down within weeks, even as the death toll passes 70,000.
Throughout this crisis, one important part of New York that has remained open has been its subway. But now, for the first time in more than a century, it's being shut down for several hours every night, so the whole system can be disinfected to ensure that essential workers can travel safely.
In New York, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Time now for a check on our weather. Here's Branny.
Yeah, thanks very much, Fergo. The stunning autumnal weather rolls on. We're expecting slightly warmer conditions tomorrow. Now, it was a mild afternoon right across the Sydney Basin today. 24.2 in the city. Penrith, 23.1, coming off a colder start to the day. And further west, our weather camera network captured this. Yes, we've got some fog sitting on the floor of the Megalong Valley. Most of that cleared by around about mid-morning. But as we look further down the track, promising drought-breaking rain is gaining momentum. Big rains are forecast to impact most of our state in the coming months. Flooding is now a real possibility from late winter into spring, especially for central and southern regions. Of course, I'll have more top of the hour, Fergo.
See you then, David. Thank you. Fire has torn through a Western Sydney home, leaving the owner fighting for life. Next, her heroic efforts to save her pet dog. Plus, fresh charges was a truckie high on ice when he hit and killed a young boy. Skyscraper inferno, how firefighters avoided a potential catastrophe. A wild ride in search of a fancy one. A 5-year-old steals his parents' car to buy a Lamborghini. And in sport, ongoing concerns over Latrell Mitchell's future, while the Storm is thrown a lifeline.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
Very occasionally, someone comes onto the stage and you think, they are born to be a superstar.
Took a job in the city.
Her voice will have the entire audience on their feet.
Absolutely brilliant.
The truly unforgettable performance.
Incredible.
We're celebrating the extraordinary.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
Brand new, Britain's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Definitely.
Wow. Yes. I'll have a slice of that.
Get in my mouth, please.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
The Australian government is working hard to keep businesses in business and Australians in jobs. That's why we've introduced the JobKeeper payment. If you're a business severely impacted by the coronavirus, you'll receive a fortnightly payment of $1,500 for each eligible employee to cover their wages. For employees, it will allow millions of Australians to keep their job, including those who've been stood down. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au, authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Hey, you there. Powerball has jackpotted to $8 million. Get moving. Grab your ticket now.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
Right now, the comfort of our home has never been more important. So it's good to know that at Fantastic Furniture, you can shop our entire range in-store or online, now with contactless delivery and click and collect services. Find your Fantastic today.
Definitely.
Wow. Yes. I'll have a slice of that.
Get in my mouth, please.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. It's been revealed a man driving a truck which smashed into a car last year, killing a 10-year-old boy, was allegedly on ice at the time. Pushminder Grewal was behind the wheel of the semi-trailer when the accident occurred on the M5. He was initially charged with dangerous driving causing death, but is now facing a fresh charge of drug driving.
My client's obviously very concerned with the escalation of the matters.
Mr Grewal will be back in court next month. A woman is fighting for life after rescuing her dog from her burning home. The property near Blacktown was packed with belongings which quickly ignited. After hauling her mother free, the 34-year-old ran back inside for her best friend.
Playful and now safe 4-year-old Dexter. Today in the care of neighbours while his owner Renee Sharkey fights for life after their Marryong home went up in flames overnight. The 34-year-old and her 64-year-old mother Marianne, who she dragged to safety, were out on the street when Renee realised her pet was missing and needed rescuing.
Renee went back inside when the flames were already at the door. Apparently Dexter had gone to the back of the house.
As firefighters battled the intense flames, they were also confronted and hindered by decades worth of hoarded clutter.
Firefighters are currently walking across at least 1 metre of materials through the house.
Investigators confirmed the home wasn't fitted with a smoke alarm. Neighbours say what Renee did was nothing short of heroic, and if it weren't for her, this fire could have been fatal. While her mum Marianne and dog Dexter made it out uninjured, Renee suffered significant burns to her face, arms and airway.
She wasn't breathing properly, but she was hysterical at the time.
She's being treated in the burns unit at Concord Hospital, but she won't have a home to return to, gutted by the fire which was the result of an electrical fault. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
Fire has engulfed a 48-storey high-rise, showering debris down onto streets. Residents managed to flee the Abco Tower in the UAE as a dozen fire trucks and drones battled the inferno. 7 people were hurt and 5 neighbouring buildings were evacuated. There's been a spate of high-rise fires in the region. Reports there suggest composite cladding that is not fire-resistant could be to blame. It's a pursuit police in Utah won't forget. An erratic driver they managed to coax to the side of the freeway, only to discover he was in kindergarten.
How old are you? You're 5 years old. Wow.
The 5-year-old could barely see over the wheel or reach the pedals. He told police he'd stolen his parents' SUV to drive to California to buy a Lamborghini. The youngster even had his savings with him, a wallet with $3. Tom Cruise is taking the need for speed to a whole new level. NASA has confirmed it's working with the actor, planning to shoot a movie on the International Space Station, saying popular media can inspire a new generation of engineers and scientists. Details are sketchy and it's unclear if Cruise will fly to the station, but the 57-year-old does usually insist on performing his own stunts. A man has been jumped by masked thieves who stole his money tin. Next, the bungled getaway that left stacks of cash on the road. A man jailed over an ice-fuelled lift brawl makes a bid for freedom, why he could be released early. Quarantine scandal, Britain's Professor Lockdown forced to quit for breaking laws to have an affair. And road savings, who can drive toll-free for 3 months? That is coming up later.
Girl meets boy.
I'm so excited. It's like our first big commitment.
Girl buys house.
Bit of a snap decision. Reese had never seen it.
Boy, was he in for a surprise. Sunday, they come home.
That is bloody beautiful.
This is like the ultimate.
Wow, I've never ever seen that before.
I love it. It's perfect.
Will these lovebirds
Here we have a pretend engagement ring.
get their fairy tale ending? A very special reveal. Sunday at 7 on 7.
Hi, I'm Colin Fastnich. This is
May.
And this is
Lily.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to say, and I'm May.
Hi, I'm Colin Fastnich.
I'm May. And I'm Lily.
We're happy to be supporting Coles and the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation. So what have we got on the menu today?
A tomato and zucchini tart.
So tomato and zucchini tart, what do we need? Number one, we've got some puff pastry we've cut into a square. It's on a non-stick mat. You can put it on a non-stick pan. I'm just going to cut a little border around the side. So what you do is you put your tart inside the border. So this helps rise around the tart. What's next, May?
You want to get your tomato sauce. We added some olive oil with.
Yeah, keep it inside the square. That's good. What's next, Lily?
Your tomato and zucchini.
Yeah, what do we do with that?
You pour it in.
To a bowl. We add a little splash of olive oil. What else do we add?
Your salt.
And pepper. Give that a good season. Mix that up. I'll mix it. If you don't get your hands dirty, do. Mix it up. Then what we do is we lay the tomatoes along the border of the tart. Because what's going to happen is the pastry is going to bubble up around the tart. And then you're going to add your zucchini in and out of your tomato. Look at that. So you've got your zucchini and your tomato inside the border of your tart on top of your passata or your tomato sauce. How are we going to make it look better, Maeve?
We're going to get a herb. We got some basil, tarragon, parsley and chard.
All picked from the garden this morning. It's a really great garden kitchen dish. Fresh, healthy. What's your favourite part?
Pastry.
What's your favourite part?
Tomatoes.
Right, give me a bit of pepper on top. Little pinch of salt. So we're going to cook this for?
20 to 25 minutes.
At?
180.
We'll see you then. Okay, so our tart's just come out of the oven. Where we did the little border, the pastry's risen up around the tart. The tomatoes are all soft. The zucchini's nice and juicy. So just at the end, add a little bit of fresh herbs from the garden. Ready to serve. What a great lunch. Well done from Colin,
Maeve and Lily.
So that's our tomato and zucchini tart.
Welcome back. Police have recovered lost property someone is sure to miss, $50,000 dropped in the middle of a busy Sydney street. Officers interrupted a robbery at Bondi Junction, but the victim took off just as quickly as the thieves.
A small fortune dumped in the street.
That is crazy. What the hell was that?
At Bondi Junction yesterday, 3 men wearing masks were spotted dragging a fourth into a garage.
Here, main road, daytime, and it does make you feel kind of ew.
Police happened to be driving past at the time, but when they were spotted, the robbers took off, dropping the money as they ran and getting into a stolen silver Toyota Orion.
I saw 3 guys wearing balaclavas, holding tons of cash, just running into a car yelling, "Go, go, go!" $50 and $100 bills, like perfectly clean and crisp. Thousands of dollars.
It happened at 5:15 yesterday afternoon. Police followed the car from the scene to Waverley before it headed the wrong way up Henrietta Street and disappeared.
We don't know who these people are, we don't know if they're known to each other, and we really are appealing for witnesses to come forward and assist.
It wasn't just the thieves that took off at the first sign of police, so too did the victim of this robbery, and that naturally leads detectives to suspect the large sum of money dropped here was the proceeds of crime. If that is the case, whoever it belonged to might be better off going to police than their boss. Andrew Denny, 7 News.
A man who went on an ice-fueled rampage in a lift because 2 strangers refused to hand over fast food could be released from jail as early as September. 21-year-old Paul Lopano was with 5 of his friends when he set upon the 2 men in the unprovoked attack at Meriton Suites in the city last June. He pleaded guilty to assault, but today successfully appealed the severity of his 3-year sentence. With time served, he'll be eligible for parole in 4 months. The scientist behind Britain's lockdown has been forced to quit after breaking the strict rules with his married lover. Cybersecurity agencies there have issued a warning to the world, with hostile states trying to steal vaccine secrets.
Few people know London like the city's black cab drivers, but even after 6 weeks of this, the streets feel unfamiliar.
I've never seen anything like this, and I don't think most of the world has either.
George Chamberlain has been driving for 26 years.
So go over here thousands of times within a year.
Usually so do 40,000 people each day.
A lot of people thought, oh, we'll be up and running in a month. As you can see, it's taken a lot longer.
But not everyone's been following the rules. The government scientist nicknamed Professor Lockdown, whose research prompted the strict measures, has resigned after breaking social distancing rules to meet his married lover, contradicting the message to stay at home. With almost 29,500 lives lost, the UK's official death toll has now surpassed Italy's, making it the highest in Europe and the second highest in the world. But with each country recording deaths differently, health bosses say international comparisons shouldn't be made yet. As scientists work on treatments and vaccines, criminals are trying to steal information. The UK and US warning government spies and hackers are targeting health bodies, drug companies and universities. Russia, China and Iran among the culprits.
We expect this kind of predatory criminal behaviour to continue and to evolve over the coming weeks and months ahead.
In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
Telstra has caused a stir after trying to charge an elderly man who needed help downloading the COVID Safe app. 79-year-old Victorian Gary Allen was told by staff he'd have to pay $30 for assistance.
Oh, that'll be $5 or $6. So I said, yeah, all right, go on. Then I just said, how much? What is your charge? He said, $30. $30? Forget it.
After finding out, Telstra apologised and sent a manager to Gary's home to install the app at no cost. The staged return to the classroom on Monday will be key to get our economy back up and running. Schools are being stocked with cleaning and sanitising supplies to make sure teachers, parents and students are confident their school is COVID safe.
Our littlest citizens will be our biggest driver in the economic recovery.
We know that that has the lowest health risk but the highest economic benefit.
With kids heading back to school, it will give parents flexibility to start their own phased return to the office.
I've got to work the whole day and my wife's working as well.
I think more kids should be back at school.
The government determined to make sure once the gate opens, it doesn't shut by creating COVID-safe school environments.
Soap and water for children is safe enough, but we've also made sure we've got plenty of hand sanitizer, we've got equipment in the sick bays. It's really about living with the pandemic.
Extra bus services and staggered starts could be introduced if social distancing on public transport becomes too difficult. If things run smoothly, all students could be back at school full-time by the end of the month. But to help those students still stuck at home struggling to stay motivated, the government is helping businesses move after-school activities online.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Creative
6,
kids providers will receive $5,000 to stream art, dance, drama, music and languages.
In terms of emotional health and well-being, it's going to be really important during this period until we're back to normal.
COVID will not stop the next Chris Hemsworth or the next Jessica Mauboy coming through the ranks.
Miley Hogan, 7 News.
7 News has been given exclusive access allowed inside the government's private crisis meetings. Next, I go behind the scenes, the Premier sharing some insights. What's next in the pandemic fight? Plus new look, see Adele's social media snap that has stunned fans. Elon's baby joy, the eccentric billionaire's bizarre name game that has the world guessing.
Soon in sport, the Prime Minister's blunt message to NRL players who refuse the flu vaccination.
Studying today, taste of things to come. See you soon.
It's gonna knock you off your feet.
The key players uncensored.
Wish I could have done more, Tim.
Shocking footage exposed. Our burning questions answered.
He was killed.
Tiger King. What really went down? Tuesday, 7:30, only on 7.
If you're in business in Australia, right now you're facing one of your toughest challenges. Business Australia can help you manage your responsibilities to your employees and assist with strategies to maintain and sustain your business. For free advice and support, visit businessaustralia.com.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna sit around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
With Light and Easy, you can enjoy delicious healthy meals with the safety of their contactless delivery service. In fact, Light and Easy has recently been rated Australia's #1 healthy meal delivery service for customer satisfaction. Order today.
Every day, we work to make our networks stronger and more reliable. So even when we can't be close, we can still be connected together.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot of questions right now, which is why you should speak to a professional accountant who's trained in planning and cash flow management strategies. For further support, contact a professional accountant today.
The stylish Haval H2, a globally engineered, European-designed and feature-packed SUV. From just $22,990 drive away. Haval H2 Auto. New car thinking.
What if I get coronavirus?
How do I do my rehab now?
Why is it so hard to get out of bed? COVID-19 is impacting us all differently, which is why we've introduced Medibank COVID-19 Health Assist. With direct access to hundreds of healthcare experts, eligible members can receive health advice and support from their homes at no extra cost. Visit medibank.com.au to see how we're providing better support for our members.
The Australian share market lost some ground today, falling 22 points. The big four banks led the way, all closing in the red. But Kathmandu shares jumped 10% after it announced a staged reopening of its stores. And one Aussie dollar is buying around 64.5 US cents. Sydney fuel prices are on the rise. The average is $2.3 a litre, but there are still some good deals on offer. We found regular unleaded as cheap as 78.7 cents at Lanier. Billionaire Elon Musk has announced the birth of his baby boy in his typical fashion on Twitter. The Tesla CEO revealed the news in a series of posts sharing photos and reporting his partner, singer Grimes, is doing well. In one shot, Musk added a filter that gave the newborn face tattoos. When asked about his son's name, he replied with a bizarre code, XAYA12 Musk, leaving fans in a frenzy trying to work out its meaning. The road out of the corona crisis will be a rocky one. Vital in helping map the way will be the State Emergency Operation Command. Tonight we can show that senior team at work for the very first time thanks to an invitation inside the normally closed doors from the Premier, an appointment that began at dawn. It's another very early start.
I've got my breakfast.
And another very familiar journey. From home to Homebush once again, HQ in our state's pandemic fight. There are temperature checks and sound checks. And still so many questions. Some days they're tougher than others.
Is reprehensible a good description?
Oh, look, I'll leave those words to the Commissioner.
On the front line, it takes tactics to keep up with the Premier.
Just waiting around every corner. Have you reflected that you are steering the ship at an extraordinary time?
It's certainly tested leadership. It's certainly tested the community. And what keeps me going is the inspiration I feel from people who, under very difficult circumstances, are making the best of it.
Most of the major coronavirus calls are made here. This is the first time we've seen the State Emergency Operation Command in action.
Today we have around 6 planes.
Our safety, our health and our economic future all mapped out in this room.
Do you ever sit in there and think, this is so big, how do we get on top of this?
I think in the first few weeks it was very overwhelming. We had to make very quick, decisions that would ordinarily take weeks and months, we had to make in a number of hours.
The Premier concedes that has come with mistakes. The two that loom largest, the Ruby Princess and the Newmarch House nursing home.
Is it hard to accept that not only mistakes will be made, but when they are made, it is a matter of life and death?
I used to always say to my colleagues before the horrific bushfire season, don't stress out unless it's life and death, but now it is life and death. And it gives you that greater sense of inner responsibility.
So when you think of Newmarch House and you think of Ruby Princess and you put that in context of your family, that does hurt, doesn't it?
Of course, but every single death from the virus hurts, Mark. I mean, every time someone loses a life, it strikes at the core of you, but so does the thought and feeling about all the lives we've protected and the community we've kept safe.
This fight has a long way to go. For the Premier, that means many more early starts, many more decisions and many more tough questions. But you get the sense she's more than ready.
Do you look round more with a sense of pride or more with a sense of trepidation as to what might lay ahead?
Both, but more pride.
Music superstar Adele impressed fans today, posting this photo to mark her 32nd birthday. The Instagram post is her first shared photo since she revealed her spectacular weight loss at Christmas. She used the post to thank essential workers. With many out of work and bills piling up, there's some relief tonight for road users. Toll-free for 3 months, saving those who qualify up to $1,000. How to check if you can apply. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport. Mel, the Prime Minister had some strong words today for the NRL.
Yeah, he did, Fergo. He's weighed in light of Bryce Cartwright's refusal to get the flu shot. His wife hitting back on social media. More details up next. Plus, South Sydney captain Adam Reynolds speaks out in defence of Latrell Mitchell and even casts doubt over the troubled Stars' playing future. And more incredible ways extreme athletes are keeping entertained. This mountain biker clearly not getting the "don't try this at home" memo.
Very occasionally, someone comes onto the stage and you think they are born to be a superstar.
Took a job in the city.
Her voice will have the entire audience on their feet.
Absolutely brilliant.
The truly unforgettable performance.
Incredible.
We're celebrating the extraordinary.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points with every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards. BP Rewards.
Or you can choose to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
You don't give in, you don't give up. It's called Aussie Spirit, and it takes spirit to get through times like these. It's what inspires us to help. Together we'll get through this. Search Toyota, here to help.
Create your dream kitchen with the latest winter home essentials from Maya. With 30% off when you buy 2 or more items of kitchenware and 15% off the original price of appliances by Breville, Philips, Tefal and more.
Maya, my store.
Right now, lives like Eva's still depend on regular blood donations. To her, they'll always be an essential service, which is why Lifeblood donor centres are safe and still open. If you're feeling well, book a donation today.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot more questions than answers right now, which is why there's never been a more important time to speak to a professional accountant. They're specifically trained to help with business planning and cash flow management strategies tailored to support your business through these challenging times. They can even lend a hand with applications for government support to make sure you get the help your business needs. For further support and assistance, contact a professional accountant today.
This Saturday with Sportsbet, get the best payout across all 3 tabs with top-toed exotics. Nail a quinella, trifecta or even a quaddie and you'll get the biggest return. Top-toed exotics from Sportsbet.
Upload's that way, OR's the other way. What do you want to do?
Upload. Anytime you need me, I'll be here for you.
In-app purchase required.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
Do you think I wanted to fall into the Grand Canyon?
I saw that video. You dabbed on the way down.
That's how you hit the lights.
Welcome back. Players who refuse to have a flu shot may be forced to sit on the sidelines when the NRL season restarts on May 28. The NRL is considering the ban unless there are legitimate grounds for players refusing the flu vaccination.
As clubs resume training today, some players won't budge on anti-vaccination protocols as part of the NRL's biosecurity measures. Bryce Cartwright joined his Titans teammates, and despite signing a waiver form that clears the club and the NRL of liability if he gets sick, it might not be enough. The Prime Minister weighing in on the debate.
When I was Social Services Minister, I started the no jab, no play rule into the childcare facilities, and I think the same rule applies there, no jab, no play.
Cartwright's wife, Chanel, a staunch anti-vaccination advocate, took to social media. People have the freedom to say what they like. just like we have the freedom to choose which medical procedures we undergo. The NRL has sought legal advice over players who won't have the flu vaccination shot. There was also confusion today over players leaving their quarantine hubs on Sunday to visit their mums. The Rugby League Players Association is seeking clarification from the NRL about player movement on Mother's Day. While at South's Rabbitohs captain Adam Reynolds raised deep concerns over Latrell Mitchell's playing future as he returned to the club.
He's constantly hounded. He's a human being at the end of the day, and I think we need to give him a bit of space. If anything, I'm more than excited to get back out there and start playing footy with Latrell.
Coach Wayne Bennett has demanded players who've returned with the bleach blonde look revert to normal hair colour by May 28. And after the local council rejected the Storm's request to use the town's rugby league ground, they had their first training session at a privately owned AFL facility. Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
And Storm and Blues winger Josh Addo-Carr has apologised to teammates over his flouting of social distancing laws on a camping trip with Latrell Mitchell. The pair also face firearm charges.
He's been good. Obviously addressed the team, and which is pretty full on for him to get in front of the group and admit that he stuffed up, which he did.
While at the Bulldogs, Kieran Foran has returned to Belmore in great shape and could be available for the season restart in a few weeks.
It would be a really big boost if we could get him back our first game, but it's going to be hard to say until he obviously starts doing that contact stuff.
Foran has played just 26 games in 2 seasons. Sam Kerr says the COVID-19 pandemic has created a scheduling nightmare for the Matildas. With the Tokyo Olympics now set for next year and with the Asian Cup, World Cup and another Olympics to follow, it means the Aussie women will not get a break from major international tournaments until 2025.
This has put like a real spanner in the works. There's no room for injury now, which is stressful. There's no room for time off. There's no room for girls in our team getting pregnant now.
While in lockdown in London, the Chelsea star is making regular appearances on her partner Nikki's social media. Racing New South Wales has welcomed the royal endorsement of its efforts to keep the sport going in this health crisis. On a phone call with the Prime Minister, Queen Elizabeth expressed delight at how racing has been able to continue. Racing New South Wales has led the way with strict biosecurity measures.
They have been the gold standard protocols. A number of other sports have piggybacked on to allow them a way forward.
The Queen loves her racing and attends the famous Royal Ascot Carnival every year. Well, working from home has become the norm for many during the pandemic, and adventure sports athletes are taking it to stunning new levels. What about this? Austrian mountain biker Fabio Vibner has set up a different kind of home office, showing off a remarkable array of tricks that keep his housemates entertained and sometimes a little bit scared. Vibner even hit a dart onto a dartboard and sank a basketball shot using only the wheel of his bike. I've absolutely no clue as to how this guy does this. Pretty spectacular though, Fergo.
He looks like an active sort of fella, doesn't he?
It pretty much, again, feeling useless at home. I don't know what the rest of us are doing, but we're not achieving a single thing.
Yeah, not very zen in the yoga class though.
No, oh no, that was a bit rude.
Good on you, Mel. Thank you. New South Wales drivers suffering financial hardship during the pandemic have been offered a break. Toll-free roads for 3 months. It's not for everyone, but those who do qualify could save close to $1,000.
Relief for road users, with tolls on many Sydney roads waived for 3 months, potentially saving around $1,000.
Every corporation, every government agency has a responsibility to do what they can.
The hardship offering by toll giant Transurban is for health workers, including nurses, doctors and aged care workers, disability carers, emergency services personnel and anyone who has lost their job or had their hours reduced due to the pandemic. The rebate from April till the end of June.
People are going to be saving several $100s over the period of 3 months or however long the process is, and so that's not a bad thing.
Those that are eligible and have paid tolls for the past few weeks would receive a refund. But there's a catch. Not all of the motorways operated by Transurban are eligible. Among the ones to miss out, some of the most used and most lucrative toll roads in the country. Missing out the M5 due to the cashback scheme, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and Harbour Tunnel, both separately owned. many calling on other operators to follow suit.
There should be no exclusions. It should apply to everyone and every road.
Cameron Price, 7 News.
David is back now with a forecast, Brownie. Another nice one in the sun today.
Oh yeah, spot on, Fergo. We're expecting more mild sunshine tomorrow. Local forecast straight after the break.
Tonight on the latest from 7 News, with our economic restart days away, we take a look at the restriction rollbacks that have worked and those that haven't around the world. And mapping the ocean floor from his spare bedroom, the deep sea explorer determined to continue his work despite COVID. Those stories and every breaking development tonight on the latest from 7 News at 10:10.
Who is it?
I don't know.
It's Tane, Ari's brother. I don't think they like each other too much.
He's about to arrive. Some will love it, some won't.
I told you to stay away.
I ain't going anywhere.
It's all that heavy.
I didn't come here to make trouble. I came here to make sure my family was okay.
Tane acts like he's a good guy, but he's not.
Maybe I'll see you around, yeah?
Maybe. He's got the whole bay talking. Home and away. Weeknights on 7.
Happy Mother's Day.
You look really nice today, Mum.
Probably because I got my lipstick on. We got to cook today, okay?
I'm going as fast as I can.
Watch your fingers.
I will, Mum.
Even if you're not with Mum this Mother's Day, you can still invite her for lunch.
Nearly as good as yours.
Yeah, almost.
You can even cook it together.
They look good.
Miss you, Mum.
See you too, son. Okay, that's it.
And I get 5 years cap price servicing with my new Corolla.
Well, they're impressed.
We're here to keep you moving forward. That's why our Toyota dealerships and service centres are still open. Older feeling. Toyota.
Could drive us away. We could be heroes forever and ever. Then we could be heroes, oh, just for one day.
Come home to stylish winter living. Shop Beacon's stunning new designs and get 30% off your second item. Mix and match anything from our entire range and get 30% off your second. Sale on now.
You can open it now. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thanks, love. Look what Amy got me.
Be Mum's instant favourite with instant scratchets.
Have you two muted?
Is your home bursting at the seams? Call Storage King. Whether you just need to create more space, kids homeschooling, working from home, or your family and business need to declutter, Storage King has the answer. With stores everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Making Storage King the kings of storage, moving and more. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-in. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
It's tax time. Stimulate your business now. Check your business's eligibility for the government instant asset write-off. Purchases made before June 30. The Ram 1500 pickup truck, eats utes for breakfast.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Tonight, 7 News headlines. Andrew Constance has made a sudden backflip on his run for Canberra. The Aged Care Commission is taking urgent action against Newmarch House. A Sydney woman's told of her near-death experience after allegedly being poisoned by her husband. And the government hints at allowing 10 people in homes as more retailers reopen their doors. Now, the latest on our weather, here's David.
Thanks very much, Fergo. I love this time of year in our city. Cool mornings and mild sunny days to follow. Today's top, well, there it is, 24.2 degrees. That's around about 3 degrees on the warm side of average for this time of year. As we pop into the suburbs, you'll notice there's only a small variation in maximum, which again is typical for this time of year. From our weather eye in the sky, we've got some high-level cloud that's gradually sailing in from the west. The thing that stands out, atmospheric pressure is starting to fall across our state. Upstream, right there at the head of the Great Australian Bight, there's a change and it is heading our way. Over the next 24 hours, we'll see strong to gale force northerly winds develop right here over the snowy mountains. That happening, or unfolding, I should say, during the second half of the day. The main change itself is right here. It will pass us by. In fact, the bulk of the rain will slip away to the south, but there is another expected to bring a little bit of light patchy rain across the weekend. Not a lot, just a few millimetres, most of it falling, as we can see, along the western slopes, along the spine of the Great Dividing Range. For us, not a drop in our backyard. Across the country, mild and sunny weather's on the way for Brisbane, around 25 degrees. Melbourne, dry and strengthening northerly winds. That northerly wind will bring some high wind chill from time to time. A few showers are expected to slip into Adelaide during the second half of the day, around 21 degrees. More showers for the southwest corner of WA. Perth heading for a forecast maximum there of around 19 degrees. For us, becoming very windy over the southern ranges during the afternoon. As I mentioned, there is a severe weather warning for the snowy mountains for those winds building up. Temperatures a degree or two higher than today. And for us, we're expecting a little bit of early fog in our west and a fine, generally sunny day to follow under that northerly breeze. Maximum temperatures generally around the mid-20s. For our coastal waters, that northerly should run at around about 15 to 20 knots for the city. A glorious day, lots of sunshine, 24 degrees. Quick look now at that 7-day outlook. There it is, warmer on Friday, remaining dry well and truly into the middle part of next week. A cool change Sunday. That's the latest weather, Fergo.
Gotta love autumn.
Indeed.
Good on you, Brownie. That is 7 News for this Wednesday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.